Happy New Year 2026, and welcome to season 2 of the Flipside. I'm very excited to start this new year, and I've got lots of hopefully exciting things in store for you for this year. Some exciting guests. We have a really great guest coming up next month, so make sure you're tuning in. For this episode, I was originally planning on doing this episode in December of 2025. But then when I started thinking about the topic, I'm thinking, well, another month would really be more appropriate. And here's why. This topic today is Maha in review, if you could say, but probably even more appropriate. This is Secretary Kennedy's progress report. So, welcome to season 2, episode 1, Secretary Kennedy progress report. All right, well, let's get into this. Now, the reason I waited till January is because, Secretary Kennedy was installed, let into his role as Secretary Kennedy in February of 2025. So to really think of a full year for him, I thought, let's go back and let's look at the entire year. Let's look at, from when he started to the closest we could get to an actual year. So that's why we're doing this as a January topic. So he was approved as Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services on February 13th, 2025. That's when he actually started his job. Now, the reason I wanted to do this segment today, this episode, is because over the past year, he has gotten probably more flack, more controversy, more calls for him being ousted from his position than pretty much anybody in the history of politics, other than President Trump himself, probably. But even more ire, it seems, than a lot of people. He just really just gets lambasted, And here's the problem. A lot of that, not the majority of it, the majority is coming from the other side of the aisle, which is to be expected. But a lot of it is also coming from people who say they are in this community, the Maha community. They say that they are part of the Maha community, they're part of the Maha movement. Yet every breath they take on X or Instagram or wherever else they want to spew their vitriol, they want to go against Kennedy. They want to basically say how horrible a job he's doing, how he's lying to us, how he is not taking care of the things he promised he would take care of. Just constant criticism, constant criticism. And I could sit here and name names of certain individuals that you see on X all the time, but that's not what this is about. And I'm not here to do that. You know who you are. And those watching this who peruse through X also know who you are. And the minute that this started, and it really started almost immediately, almost straight out of the gate, like March, April, May, it was immediately happening. Oh, you're not doing your job. You're not doing the things you said you were going to do. You're not getting done the things you said you were going to get done. This criticism came out of the gate strong, and it came out immediately. And as soon as I heard that, I was shaking my head. I couldn't understand. I couldn't comprehend why are these individuals doing this? Now, there's lots of reasons. It could be they are really not who they think they are or say they are. They're not really part of this movement. Excuse me. And, they're a plant from the other side. They're here to sow seeds of disruption into the Maha movement. Now, that's a possibility. Trojans, Trojan horses have existed for all time. Trolls, people that are plants into a movement to cause disruption, happens all the time. So are these people that? I don't know. For some of them, maybe. For others, I don't think so, knowing who these people are. A lot of these people, the vast majority of people who are in the Maha movement or on this side, as they say, who are complaining, I call them the newbies. These are people who just came into this movement. You know, they came in after 2020. Anybody who came in after 2020, I'm calling a newbie. Now, that's not an insult. It's just a reality. If you came in after 2020, you are new to this movement. Prior to it being Maha, it was Health Freedom. Before that, it probably didn't even have a name, but we've been calling it Health Freedom for many, 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 many years, long before Maha was then phrased, which wasn't phrased until after Kennedy decided to join with Trump um, back in 2024. So this Maha movement is very new, but it's also very old. And most of us have been around for a long time in this movement and have seen the comings and goings of all sorts of people. We've also been able to see Secretary Kennedy in his role prior to this and now. And we've seen his integrity. We've seen his heart. We've seen the sincerity at which he goes about doing the things that he does. And so we have more patience and we have more understanding of Secretary Kennedy and who he is as a person. The newbies, maybe not so much. Maybe they didn't really even pay attention to anything that Kennedy was doing until Maha really started, until they started becoming aware of issues after 2020. The other thing is that those of us who've been in this movement for a long time, since it was Health Freedom all the way through to now, can testify to the fact that this is a struggle against very, very powerful forces. And when I say very, very powerful forces, it's hard to quantify how powerful these forces are. And we're not just talking about Big Pharma. Big Pharma is incredibly powerful, and their fingers go into all sorts of things. But it goes further than that. It was the CDC, it was the FDA, it was HHS, it was NIH, it was all of these agencies that were at least partly involved in a lot of the controversy, a lot of the cover-ups, a lot of the distrust that we were gaining year by year going through the health freedom movement. So going into Secretary Kennedy's position, we knew that this was going to be an uphill battle. It was going to be a very hard fought battle, and that you couldn't just come in swinging, and you couldn't just come in saying, okay, everything goes away tomorrow. Everything goes away today. You can't just do that. That's ridiculous to even think that that's the way it works. Yet a lot of these newbies whose main concern is the COVID vaccine, and I get that. That's what they went through in 2020. They see that as the immediate threat. Maybe they're on board now with the entire vaccine schedule, maybe not. But their main thing is getting rid of the mRNA vaccines. Okay. I won't argue that. I think that's a worthy goal. I think it is a goal that should be on the agenda. But to come in and think that anybody can come in and within a very, very short time just say, okay, it's all gone. That's not the kind of power Secretary Kennedy has, and it makes light, very light, of the situation that he's in. It makes light of the mountain that he has to climb to get to the top for the success for these different things. So there's a lot of unrealistic expectations. And I think that's an understatement. And those who are deeply embedded in Maha, I think those people know for sure, what's going on, and they have even a clear picture of what's going on with Secretary Kennedy and what's in his mindset. But I think if you just step back and look at any kind of process where you're trying to make really big changes to a system, it's a slow process. It's not something that happens overnight. You're also dealing with paradigm changes. You're trying to have people alter their thinking. To say that that's difficult is an understatement as well. So this is going to be a hard-fought battle for the next 4 years. And one of the things that Secretary Kennedy is trying to do is he is trying to make sure that whatever it is he does is permanent, or as permanent as it can be. He doesn't want to do something half-assed that is unstable, that as soon as he's out of his position of power, it can immediately be just, about faced, turned around, and put right back where it was again. So things have to be done a certain way. And Secretary Kennedy is intelligent. He knows this. He's been doing this kind of thing for a long, long time. Even before he was involved with the vaccine issue, he was involved with, the pollution of the rivers. He was involved in environmental law. He has been a lawyer, an active lawyer for most of his life. He knows how to do this process. He knows how to fight against the entrenched, the big corporate entities who control things. And so he's doing this in a very intelligent way, my opinion, but he's doing this in a very intelligent way. He is approaching things in a systematic manner. He is doing things in an incremental manner, and they're kind of building upon each other. So little successes are building into other successes, building into other successes, et cetera, et cetera. And over the course of this past year, I will argue that he has done more for his agenda and for the American people than probably any other political entity has been able to pull off in a year. At huge successes and moving the needle in the direction that it needs to go. So that's the argument I want to make today. That's what I want to show today. I want to try and show the doubters and show everybody else that this Maha movement is marching forward. It's going in a great direction. I think each year is just going to build upon itself. Now, I could be proven wrong. Certainly. I don't think I'm going to be. I have faith in Secretary Kennedy. I have faith in his honesty, and I have faith in his passion and his mission. I've seen it for too long to think that it's false. And I have faith that he's doing what he can do against a ginormous entity that is a machine that's working against him. And you can see it clearly. You can see it on X. You can see it in the news. You can see it everywhere where these forces are rallying against him. They're making up lies. They like to say the things he's doing is going to destroy the system. It's going to make everyone sick or get killed. Okay. These are the things they like to say. And they do this to try and demonize Secretary Kennedy, partly because he is connected to Trump. Anybody who's connected to President Trump is going to get destroyed or potentially destroyed from the other side. That's just the way it is. If you attach yourself to his name, you are opening yourself up for attack. And Kennedy knew this going into it. He's a very smart guy. He knew it going into it. But they're also attacking him because he is dismantling a system that has been corrupt for a very long time. And that's the thing we have to keep in mind. He is dealing with a very, very corrupt system. And that's part of what has to happen in the first year and continuously is the dismantling of that. It's hard to get anything pushed forward, to move forward in your agenda, if you're sitting inside of a corrupt system that's not allowing you to do it. So the first thing is to dismantle that system. And so that's really where we're going. So if we start to look at progress, if we start to look at the things that Secretary Kennedy has done, apologize, I got a little scratchy throat today. But we'll struggle through this, okay? One of the very first things that Kennedy did that kind of made headlines and was one of his first successes was back in March of 2025. And this was when he was directing the HHS and the FDA, or directing through the HHS to the FDA to overhaul the GRAS system. Now that's GRAS. GRAS stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. Okay. Now, for those who don't understand this system is, well, the way that it's been set up is really the way to explain it first. The GRAS system has always been this system for companies who are requiring FDA oversight, I guess you would say, or uh, essentially it allowed companies to create their own oversight for products. Uh, they would notify the FDA of food ingredients. That's just one example. Uh, and the GRAS, I should know this better, but the GRAS system essentially says that these companies can say this is safe. Okay. And it's not a reliable system. It's not a system that has worked for us in the past. There's been lots and lots of instances where things have been pushed through that, where there's obvious dangers to this. And so there, when you got that GRAS label, that generally recognized as safe label, it allows you to skirt through this process and put something into the market for human consumption that is potentially dangerous. And so Kennedy is ending the self-affirmed GRAS, meaning that the companies being able to say, hey, this is GRAS, as opposed to it having a process and a system. So, right now, companies get to just declare that. They just get to say, hey, this ingredient is GRAS. It's generally recognized as safe. And there's lots of loopholes that they get to go through. And Secretary Kennedy is closing those loopholes. That's his process. Now, this process is still ongoing. He started this in March, and it is a process, but it's a process that's continuing. So it hasn't happened yet, but it is continuing. He wants to have the FDA control all the reviewing, mandatory, so that it's not just the company saying GRAS. He wants, as he's said in many cases, transparency in everything that he's doing and in everything that the agencies are doing. He wants that. He wants more research and documentation for toxicology, for dangers for the products before they can be recognized as actually safe. Not generally recognized as safe, but safe. And so this goes back to his goals of MAHA, make America healthy again. It goes back to his statements of wanting gold standard research. He wants there to be a process so that it's not the companies saying, oh yeah, it's safe. Okay. So GRAS, that was probably one of his first big things that he pushed through. Now, just to touch upon something, I think it's pretty simple to understand that we shouldn't just carte blanche give trust to corporations. Trust to anybody is earned, correct? But it would be an easy process for you to go onto Google right now and type in, corporations with large lawsuits or whatever, okay, and type that into the system and have a continuous list of massive lawsuits that any of these large companies have gone through. Just to put it into context, as far as giving an example, if you looked at the vaccine companies, okay, Pfizer, Moderna, and whatever, and you put them into the system and asked about large lawsuits, we're talking billions and billions of dollars in lawsuits. And when you go and look at these lawsuits, you're going to find a lot of lawsuits for these pharmaceutical companies and for the agricultural companies where they have been proven in a court of law to have known about the dangers of their product, but went ahead and put them out there anyway, that they had research confirming it was dangerous, put it out there anyway, and people died or got hurt or injured or paralyzed or whatever else. And they've been sued and they had to pay money, and now they're back in business again. But we're supposed to just trust these people. We're supposed to trust them with carte blanche activity. We're supposed to give them immunity with vaccines. We're supposed to let them just choose which is GRAS, generally recognized as safer, and which is not, right? And that's crazy. And these companies do not deserve our trust. They have proven over and over and over again that they are not trustworthy. And so we need mechanisms to make sure that they are being trustworthy, or at least that there's oversight to make sure that if they're not trustworthy, we catch them and we fix the problem before it kills people. And there's too many of these loopholes that exist. Secretary Kennedy knows this. That's one of the things he's fighting against, that he's fighting for you and for me. That's what he's doing. So the grass was one of the first things. Now, another thing that he did very soon after that, this was in May of last year, 2025, is he started the phase out of food dyes. Now, this was all over the news. Okay. And in fact, you had a lot of liberal media basically making fun of this, and saying that this was nothing. This didn't mean anything. And you had companies saying that the food dyes weren't a problem and that they were actually safe, generally recognized as safe grass. Okay. But there were at least 8 petroleum-based dyes, synthetic food dyes, that he has put into motion. Once again, this is not totally done either. This is, I don't know the exact deadline. It's probably a couple of years from now, 27, 28, 29, something like that. Because this is the way it always works with these companies. They push the deadline out. We can't do it tomorrow. We can't do it 2 months from now. We can't do it 3 months from now. It's got to be years from now. Whatever. So we've given them that time to get these dyes out of their products. Some companies have already jumped to that and have already taken the dyes out. So some companies are ahead of the curve. Okay. But these dyes that have been targeted through this initiative, if you will call it, this plan, have been known for decades to be problems, causing all sorts of problems. Now, I did a podcast last year. I don't remember which episode it was, where I went through this and I actually showed a chart that showed all of the research issues where they've shown that this dye causes this dye causes that in rats and whatever else, right? So we've known this. And many of these dyes, if not all of them, have already been banned in other countries. But of course, America, capitalists that we are, still allow that. And it's something that should have been taken out decades ago. And it's something that is worthwhile to be taken out now. Now, once again, when this came about and Secretary Kennedy made his announcements and this came out on the scene, all the newbies that I talked about earlier came out of the woodwork saying, okay, what about the mRNAs? What are you doing? Why is this? Why are you doing this? What is this? Well, this is because he's head of HHS. Head of HHS. This is what head of HHS should be doing, okay, is this type of thing. It's not about going in and destroying all the vaccine stuff. That might be on the table. That might be part of the agenda. That might happen. Hopefully it will to a certain degree this way or that way. But is it the only thing that he's supposed to be doing? Is it the only thing he's supposed to be concentrating his time on? No. And here's the other part. And this is the part that the newbies and the people complaining can't seem to see or don't want to see, or see and choose not to because they want to have their 20 seconds of fame, is that this is one of those little victories. Grass, little victory. Food dyes, little victory. Little victories that have nothing to do with vaccines. Little victories that can be seen as and are health measures as part of Make America Healthy Again that are moving us in the right direction. So these are little victories, very intelligently used to start moving the needle. So good stuff. I mean, really good stuff. Okay. Smart stuff. Then in May, he announced the actions to remove prescribed fluoride supplements for young children. Now, could this be bigger? Absolutely. Should it be bigger? Absolutely. Will it become bigger? I hope so. I think it will. I hope so. Through his initiatives, not only is this happening, okay, to remove prescription fluoride supplements for young children, okay, because of what it does to the neurology. And the science shows that, folks. The science, if you really want to do a search, go to Google, type in Google Scholar. That is a search engine that is specifically for research. So if you go to Google Scholar, you type that in, and then when you go there, you put in fluoride and neurological issues, you'll find dozens of papers, good papers written up that show problems going back decades. that we've known that there's issues and potential issues with fluoride usage. Okay. So the biggest thing with fluoride usage, and I went over this in a previous episode as well, is ingestion of the fluoride. So drinking it in the water, swallowing the toothpaste. Okay. One of the problems with the children's fluoride products, like for example, toothpastes, is that they are flavored to the high heavens to make them taste really good, right? So the kids don't have a problem swallowing it, right? They will swallow that stuff. You have to be very careful with children with fluoride toothpastes. My kids never used fluoride toothpaste growing up. What they're doing now as adults, that's their choice. I don't know what they're doing, but as children, when they were growing up in our household, they did not use fluoride toothpastes for the main reason being that is we didn't want them ingesting the fluoride. So this action of removing prescription fluoride supplements for children is an excellent, once again, first step, little step. Okay. These little steps, we got grass, we got the food dyes, now we got the fluoride. Okay. And so these are all little steps that are moving in the right direction of make America healthy again. These little things are good health measures that should have been done before in previous administrations. They weren't, and now they are. And of course, Kennedy gets criticized for all of these things. Okay. Fluoride's fine. It's been proven that it's fine. Well, no, not so much. If you're really going to talk about research, then you can't talk about one lopsided aspect of research and forget all of the rest of it and not even talk about it. And that's what too many people do. They want to talk about just their research and not all the research that came before or after or during or middle or whatever. They just ignore it. They say it's proven safe. Well, no, it's been shown to be safe in some studies, and it's been shown to be potentially harmful or harmful in many other studies. And you can't ignore that. And so if you're going to err on one side or the other, you err on the side of safety. You don't err on the side of, well, this study showed that it was safe, even though those two studies showed it's not. These two studies show it is. Well, you got two studies. Guess what? You err on that side. Safety. You don't err on the other side. It's not about the corporations making their money. Let's find a different way. Let's find a different product. Let's find a product that doesn't kill people. Let's find a product that doesn't injure people. Let's find one that's not generally recognized as safe and is safe. Not generally recognized as safe, safe. It's not rocket science in that sense. You really shouldn't be that difficult. Okay. So removing the prescription fluoride, that was done in May. Okay. Another victory. What came next? Next in May, this was a big victory. And that was Kennedy's most favored nation status. So through the Trump administration, through the efforts of Secretary Kennedy, we now have most favored nation status, which means that prescription drugs should be lowered. Okay. Certain nations got this price, which was a lower price. We always got the higher price. So that most favored nation policy allows Americans to get lower drug prices. Once again, criticism. How can you criticize that? Now, I'm not a drug person. I'm not, I try not to ever take drugs. I'm not saying I never have. I will if I need to. But it's not something I reach out for immediately. I try to do other health measures as opposed to drugs. Drugs are there for us if we need them. Do we overuse them in our country? Absolutely, 100%. Yes, we do. Do we need to start going away from those things and towards more natural, more safe things? Yes, we absolutely do. But we also have millions of people who take multiple drugs, who have huge costs in their budget to try and survive and take medications. So this most favored nation status, which sets lower prices for drugs for Americans now, is a huge victory, and one that both parties should have been able to get behind and celebrate. When this was announced, there should have been an equal number of Democrats and Republicans standing up on a stage together saying this is an awesome thing. Thank you, Secretary Kennedy, for pushing this. Thank you for achieving this. But no, it has to be politicized. The Democrats have to find some reason to make this into a demonized situation. Kennedy is screwing up the system by giving us cheaper drugs. Well, I don't know how they're going to spin that, but that's what they do. So once again, another win, another win, little wins, little victories. And this is only May. So from February to May, we've got the generally recognized as safe rules being changed. We've got the food dyes being eliminated. We've got the fluoride being taken out or replaced. We got the most favored nation status. Okay. We've got all of these amazing things happening, little pieces here and there. Of course, the mRNA vaccines haven't been addressed yet. The childhood vaccine schedule has not been addressed yet. And so people are freaking out. Patience, patience, my friends. Things are coming. Things are coming. And then here we go. In July, what was one of the biggest moves from Kennedy, and one of the most controversial moves from Kennedy, was his ousting of the sitting ACIP committee and replacing it with his handpicked crew. So ACIP is the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. This is the group that gets together to discuss the research, supposedly, the safety, the benefits, et cetera, of vaccines and set policy for this. And so Kennedy came in and removed all the members of ACIP. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. 17 members gone. I can tell you from my perspective, and I can tell you from my group of friends within MAHA, when this happened, we were ecstatic. Ecstatic. This was huge. This was huge. The other side knows this. The side that wants Kennedy gone knows this, and they attacked him immediately. You're destroying the entire vaccine system by doing this. You're putting in known anti-vaxxers into positions, and it's going to destroy the vaccine system. It's laughable. If it wasn't so aggravating and frustrating, it would be incredibly laughable. The members that were on there before, if you want to start labeling people, were pharma insiders. They were people that were paid in large part. A lot of them got a lot of their income from big pharma, from a lot of the same companies that they were trying to weigh decisions on. They had money coming in from those things. They had ties to those things. They were philosophically aligned to those things. So how is that any better than what you're saying? You're saying, oh, well, all 17 members are gone and now it's all anti-vaxxers. No, we have people in there who actually can think for themselves, who want to look at the vaccine research for what it is and make decisions for what it is. That's what we have. We don't have system insiders anymore. We don't have people being paid by the pharma industry anymore. We have scientists, very highly educated, highly intelligent people on the committee to make decisions. We don't have system insiders only to make decisions. Now, I want to share with you and show you something here, because what I wanted to do was show you kind of a glimpse into the previous ACIP committee. Many of you may have already seen this little clip. It's been going around on Instagram. It's been going around on X. So you may have already seen this, but I want to show it to you because it is a really good illustration of the inherent problems that we had with the ACIP committee before Secretary Kennedy stepped in and changed the whole thing. So this is perfect. So I want to show this to you. All right. Let me make sure I've got this all set up here correctly. All right, I'm not sure if this is going to start exactly where it should, but Bear with me just for a second here. Let's see what it does here. All right, here we go.
Is there any comment on using this vaccine at the same time with other adjuvanted vaccines?
We have no data to make a recommendation one way or the other.
So just to sort of put this in context of other vaccines, whilst preclinical studies were not done using these vaccines simultaneously, our general approach to immunizations is that they can be given at the same time in different limbs.
Dr. Hunter?
Are multiple adjuvanted vaccines used in Europe or other markets?
Good question.
Dr. Ward, do you want to comment?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. I think unless there's any further discussion, we will take a vote on this recommendation.
I want to remind everyone to please check your voting machine thing. And I don't know what it is. Voting is open.
Thank you very much. So the voting is completed, and it is unanimous to support this recommendation. Thank you all.
Does anybody have any comments they wish to make about their vote?
So just a slight reservation. I think this is a huge advance and a step forward. I am concerned about that signal, that myocardial infarction signal. I am concerned about the use of this new adjuvant and certainly urge us to continue to look at the post-marketing data carefully.
Dr. Hunter?
Just a question about that. How soon would we be getting that post-marketing data update here?
There's two kinds of data. The vaccine safety data link data will require people to be using the vaccine to develop substantive database. And Dr. Sun, do you want to comment on the post-marketing data that FDA is requiring?
I think for the myocardial infarction study, we're seeing that the date likely for completion May 31, 2020. There will also be studies looking at autoimmune diseases as well as herpes zoster, and there will be a pregnancy registry as well. So that's all included in the post-marketing surveillance.
Thank you.
And interesting. Very interesting. 100%. 100%. So if you caught that from the before and after that, I had to show that. Serious questions were being brought up. No answers, no data, no answers whatsoever, none. Any data that they wanted for some of these questions wasn't going to happen until after the fact. But when they voted to whether or not this hepatitis B vaccine is going to be allowed or put into the schedule, 100% of these motherfuckers, said yes. 100% said yes. This was the old ACIP committee, and this is why those effers are gone, out of here, okay? And you're going to criticize the people that are coming in now when this was the kind of garbage that was happening with the ACIP committee before. And this is not one example only. I guarantee you, if you went back and looked at the reviews and the records of all these meetings, this is the same kind of garbage that was happening before. No real data, questionable issues, no real answers. Any answers are going to be found after the fact once they start using the vaccine. It's outrageous. And this is the stuff that was happening with the ACIP committee. Okay. Just absolutely bonkers, just bonkers. Crazy stuff. You know, it's interesting to me because, and I've been criticized for this many times over the years. You know, why do you get so upset with this stuff? And why do you get so angry and, you know, with the vaccine situation, and you're railing against this? Yes. You're talking about a product that's being forcibly injected into children. And yes, it is forcibly being injected. And the reason I say it like that is because if parents feel like they don't have a choice, which I will guarantee you the vast majority of parents at least used to, I think people are wising up now, felt they didn't have a choice. I either have to do this or my child is not allowed into school. I either have to do this or my child's going to die of all these diseases. That's still being forced because it's not exactly accurate information. There's a lot of nuances there that aren't being told to the parents. And so, yes, they're being forcibly injected with, is it upwards of 72 doses of vaccine now? Crazy amounts, ridiculous sums. And there's too many questions unanswered. That is a problem, folks. It's a big, big freaking problem. So, yay for the ACEP committee being changed. Okay. And we just recently saw one of the big outcomes from that. And that's that the Hep B, Hep B vaccine, which that was, I think, if I remember correctly just now, that was the Hep B vaccine 2018 when they were approving part of that, that they are now not making that a mandatory part of the schedule. It should be something that a doctor, through understanding their patient, knowing whether or not the mother is actually positive. If the mother's positive, then yeah, probably get the baby the vaccine because there's a good risk of transfer there. But if the mother is negative, why would we do that? It makes no sense whatsoever. None. And we finally have an ACEP committee who's actually following through with that. So thank God for that. Big victory. Big victory. Okay. And that was in July. But of course, the doubters still came out swinging, saying it's not enough. mRNA vaccines are still here. Vaccine schedule has not been changed enough. Nothing. So no honors for Secretary Kennedy at that point. Then in June, he launched what was called Operation Stork Speed. And this was his aim to make baby formulas safe. Now, there's going to be people who have to use baby formula for one reason or another. In general, I think we need to be promoting breastfeeding more. There needs to be more support for breastfeeding. There needs to be more classes, education for breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is what is best for the baby. Period. Does that mean that you shouldn't have any kind of infant formula available? Absolutely not. You should. Absolutely, you should. Like I said, there's going to be situations where you have to have infant formulas. And those infant formulas need to be healthy. If you ever have picked up infant formula and looked at the ingredient list, I'm serious. We're talking about a paragraph that's like this big. The list of ingredients goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it is filled with so many chemicals and so much just junk, heavy metals. Okay. Just ridiculous stuff. And the level of ignorance in the nutrition, I'll put that in quotes, the nutrition that's placed into these formulas is also insane. They need to be more nutritious. They need to be more balanced from that child's needs perspective. They need to be clean of chemicals. They need to be good quality. You're feeding a baby whose body is growing, the neurology is growing. It needs all these nutrients to grow the brain, grow the nervous system, grow the tissues. And so we need to be feeding these babies really quality product. If you're not able to do breastfeeding for whatever that reason is, then the person needs to have access to really good, clean, quality baby formula. Why would this also, once again, get criticism? But it got criticized as well. Secretary Kennedy cannot do anything without it getting some type of criticism from the opposite side of the aisle, sometimes from the same side of the aisle. But this was also, once again, another necessary step. Was it RNA vaccines? No. Was it the vaccine schedule? No. But guess what, folks? He's the HHS secretary. He has to do all sorts of things. He's here for everyone and every health situation, not just vaccines. Give him a break. Give him some time. He's doing great work. Then we did get a little bit of a change, very small, but once again, we're working in the right direction. sometime, and I don't remember exactly when it was. I think it was in July. I'm not positive the exact date. He removed the COVID-19 vaccines for children from the immunization schedule, and I think pregnant women as well. I think so. I think it was children and pregnant women both. He removed the COVID vaccine from the schedule for children and pregnant women. Well, number one, pregnant women were not studied with this vaccine. There were no sufficient studies for pregnant women in this vaccine, and there have been issues on documented issues showing issues with pregnant women with the vaccine. So, lots of questions. With children are the least, the population that is at least at risk with COVID. During the pandemic, if you look at the number of people sick, the number of people injured or died from COVID, under the age of, and I'm just throwing out a number without knowing exactly, but I'm probably going to be hitting the mark fairly close. People under the age of 30 it was almost non-existent that they were even going to get COVID. People under the age of 10, even less than that. The vast majority of people were over the age of 50, and under the age of that, far, far less. So why would you make it a mandatory issue in the childhood vaccine schedule for the COVID-19 vaccine, especially since some of the biggest at-risk people for the vaccine injury are younger adults, okay, teenagers, et cetera. So why would we start to do this now, especially when we have risks of myocarditis showing up readily in the research as well? It doesn't make sense. But of course, once he came forward with this recommendation to take that out of the schedule, one of the first people to start yelling about this was the American Academy of Pediatrics. Now, the American Academy of Pediatrics, just so we're clear, is an agency that is really not a health agency per se. They do recommendations, but they are bought and paid for by the pharmaceutical industries. If you look at the amount of money that's donated to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the vast majority of it comes from the pharmaceutical industry. They're supposed to be there to create regulation, to create laws that are not laws, but recommendations that assist and help the pediatric population. So why would they come out so strongly? And I mean very strongly. I think they actually filed a lawsuit against Secretary Kennedy for this decision. Good luck with that. But why would they do that? Once again, follow the money. So excellent choice by Kennedy once again. Okay, let's keep on going down the list here. In August, another very, very controversial decision. HHS canceled nearly $500 million in federal contracts. These were mainly for the development of mRNA vaccines. And they terminated 22 projects managed by the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, or BARDA. Now, the reasoning for this is that the mRNA, according to Kennedy, okay, and according to research, a lot of scientific data on this, failed to protect effectively against upper respiratory infections, and that there were a lot of questionable dangers with mRNA vaccines. Here's something that many people may not know out there listening to this. Prior to COVID, prior to the vaccines that came out at the end of 2020, mRNA vaccines had no success results, zero. Every effort to try and create a successful mRNA vaccine failed every time. Yet Warp Speed suddenly produced several mRNA vaccines where all of them were supposedly perfectly safe, perfectly effective. Everything was perfect about them. Perfect. Everyone needs to take them. Mandate it. Prior to 2020, no mRNA vaccine success. Then with a warp speed, meaning a rushed scientific process, rushed to market process, everything was successful, zero problems. Really? No, I don't buy that for 2 seconds. And the data that's out there supports that it's not the safest thing in the world. And it wasn't even as effective as they like to say it was. And so to keep rushing head first into the mRNA vaccine direction is not a, it's not a direction we should be rushing into as blindly as we are. As here's the thing with science. Science is great. Science is necessary. Science moves us forward. And there's a lot of times when science is pushed because of economics. It's pushed because of the money that a company can make because of a product, not because of how much it's going to help somebody or save this or save that. And we see that all over the place. The rush to this type of science has far less to do with we're doing it to save you than it does to we're doing it to make a lot of fucking money. That's the big thing. And so these companies are rushing into this to make billions and billions of dollars. They're not rushing into it because they're trying to save your life. I don't, once again, buy that for a second. It's not because I think that all humankind is corrupt. It's because corporations as a whole, their objective is to make money. That's their objective. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing either. I'm just saying that is the objective and we should own that. And so to think that the objective is because it's just about saving lives and this mRNA technology is the answer to that. No, this is the trend right now. It's the thing. And we're pushing that because they want to make money off of it, not because it's necessarily safe. There's lots and lots of questionable issues with mRNA vaccines. And those issues should be figured out before the rush continues. And so one of the reasons that Secretary Kennedy removed all that money from the mRNA was to take that money and put it into other types of research as opposed to the mRNA research. That was research that he felt with HHS, that the science and the information regarding it was not supporting continuing in that direction. Take the money, put it somewhere else that can be of good use for our health and not the mRNA. People did not like that, especially the people involved in mRNA technology. Of course, not going to like that. In August, it was also reported that as HHS secretary, that he had fired thousands of staffers. Now that was at the CDC, that was at HHS, that was even at the FDA. There was all these people losing their jobs. Now, in this economy, anybody losing their jobs, I mean, I feel for everybody losing their jobs. I don't want anybody to lose their jobs, you know, in reality, especially the average person, because you've got to support your families. You know, you got to be able to pay your bills. I get that. And that's sad. At the same time, like I said at the very top of this program, one of the things that Kennedy had to do is clean house. Anybody who is going to stand in the way of making the changes that are necessary to this system, bye-bye. You got to go. You got to go because the system has to be changed. The system has been corrupt for way too long. It's not saying that every staff person was the person responsible for the corruption. It's saying that if you had staff people that are actively working against what you're trying to do, whether it's just through constant negativity and talking, or it's actual physical actions, bye-bye. Any company would do that. Any company would do that. If you were working for a company and you were constantly bad-mouthing the administration of that company behind their back or in front of them, constantly, if you even had the audacity to go out and publicly say something, you should not be expecting to keep your job. That is employment 101. You should not be thinking that you're going to keep your job. That's not the way it works. You badmouth your company, you badmouth your boss, you work actively against their direction, you lose your job. That's the way it works. So yes, people were fired. Lots of people were fired. And you know what? Cleaning house is often necessary if you wish change. And that's exactly what Kennedy did. He cleaned house. It's necessary to make the next steps. In September, he rolled out a new plan with Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins, and this was to start to change the SNAP program. And there were a lot of governors of some states that came forward voluntarily and were automatically making a lot of these changes. Good for them. Very good for them. I wish I had all the states. I would have named them right now, but I don't have that. But these changes are to try and get rid of the unhealthy items out of the food SNAP program. Soda, sugary stuff, snacky stuff like that. The SNAP program is for feeding families who are struggling financially and can't, make the types of foods, buy the types of foods that they need for their families. Soda is not a staple. It's not something you need at all. I've always said from a nutritional standpoint, if there was one item that I could pack into a rocket and send it to the sun to be gone forever, it would be soda pop. Sodas are horrible. They're horrible. There's nothing redeeming about them whatsoever. Getting away from soda is something that every person on the planet should do. And Americans drink more soda than anybody. And we have the largest obesity problem. And that's not a coincidence. I'm not saying that sodas are the only thing that cause it, but it certainly is a big factor and doesn't help. Sodas should not be subsidized in a program like SNAP. They should be gone. If you wish to have a soda, buy it with your own money. It's the same thing that alcohol. Alcohol is not part of the SNAP program. You can't buy alcohol in the SNAP program. Why? Because technically it's not good for you. It's not something that's a staple that you need for survival. Neither is soda. Neither is candy. Those things are not things that should be put on a SNAP program. They should have never been allowed on the SNAP program. And the fact that Kennedy has the intelligence to have that removed is a good thing. And these are things that can start working slowly to help change our nation from being the fattest nation on the planet to hopefully at some point one of the fittest and healthiest nations on the planet. So once again, an excellent decision. And no, it wasn't mRNA. No, it wasn't vaccines, but it's once again HHS, and it's a step in the right direction, and it is making America healthy. So bravo to Kennedy for that as well. Then the bomb dropped in October. The HHS Kennedy administration decided to come out with Tylenol and autism. Now, this was a bomb because it brought up autism for the first real time in the administration, like really bringing it up in a big way. Now, this is not just for everybody out there, because Kennedy kept saying that something's coming about vaccines and about autism. It's coming. And then they dropped this. Just like everything else prior to this, everything was a buildup. Everything was a step. Everything leads in a particular direction. This is a step. This is not the end all be all. This is not the end of the subject. This was a step. It was opening a door. Okay. And is Tylenol the cause of autism? I would say absolutely not. It's not the cause of autism. Could it be involved in the cascade of reactions that leads to autism? Yes, absolutely. Tylenol affects the liver. It affects the detoxification pathways. And we already know that detoxification, the ability for a child to detox properly, is likely a aspect of autism. And I'm going to have some guests this year that are going to discuss this kind of thing in a much more depth. But that is a factor in that. So it's in there. Okay. It's not the cause of autism, but it's in there. It's in there as a mix. Now, he also didn't come out and say Tylenol's gone. It's off the shelf. You can't use it anymore. We're recommending that nobody ever use this product, that pregnant people do not use this product. No, what he said is that there is a possible danger. That possibility is real. And so as such, you need to have really good consultation with your medical professional before using it. That's what he said, folks. But of course, people like The View, God, and others like that wanted to turn this into something that it wasn't. He's taking away Tylenol as a drug for these people. It's going to cause deaths, and all this stuff's going to happen. It's not what he did, and it's not what he said. And if you listen back to the tapes of that, you can see it very clearly. He said that you have to be using it with caution. And that was the recommendation, that they were putting caution on that. It was advising that pregnant women avoid this if necessary. If it's absolutely necessary, sure, it's good that it's there, but it needs to be controlled and not given out as liberally as it has been, is what they're saying. That there's enough information there to say that there could be a cascade link towards autism with Tylenol, and therefore use it with caution. Wise words. Why wouldn't you use those words? So if that had been a Democratic person saying that, The View would have been going, "Oh, thank you for saving us. Oh, this is such great information. Oh, gosh, thank you." But no, it's Trump's appointee, Secretary Kennedy, who's the crazy anti-vax person. So we got to freak out. And everybody freaked out. All right. But the real nuclear explosion, the first one was a bomb. The next one was a nuclear explosion. Very next month in November, the big one. And once again, I told you it's coming. It's little steps. CDC changed its website regarding its link between vaccines and autism. Huge. Anybody in the health freedom movement over the decades could have gone to the CDC's website and seen on the CDC's website that it says vaccines do not cause autism. Vaccines do not cause autism. That's a very clear statement. Very clear statement. Vaccines do not cause autism. And the CDC says that, so it must be true. I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten into arguments with people just based off of that one statement. You go to the CDC website, it says very clearly vaccines do not cause autism. CDC says that. So if they say that, it's true. It's true. And then when you try to tell them that that statement is a lie and that the CDC knows that it's a lie because the evidence shows that there is no clear-cut evidence saying vaccines do not cause autism. There's none. There's none. And it's a lie. But then people go, no, it's on their website. Why would the CDC lie to you? Why would they lie to you? What motive do they have to lie to you? Well, let's not get into the motives right here, because that would take me another 2 hours to talk about the motives. But money is a big one. Okay. Responsibility for the autism epidemic is another, which also ties back to money. But the problem is it's been a lie. It's been a lie forever. Okay. Now I'm going to show you another clip. It's one of my all-time favorite clips. I just want to laugh every time I see this clip. It's to me, it's hilarious. I think it's an absolutely ridiculously funny clip. But I'm going to go ahead and switch to the clip here, and then I'll talk about it more. Whoop, I forgot to pull it up. Let me pull it up here. That would help. There it is. All right. Yeah, and I said how funny this was. It's really, it's not funny in one sense, but it's really funny in one sense because of her outrage, her complete outrage. She is so outraged at being asked these questions and being forced to be put into this situation where she has to confess and admit to something. And even then, she's really not admitting to anything. She still tries to deny everything, but her total outrage is what I find so humorous about this whole thing. So let's hope that I'm going to get the sound correct on this. I've had some issues getting the sound right, so I'm going to turn the sound up here, crank it up a little bit, and hopefully this will work correctly here. So here you go. It's a few minutes long here, so bear with me.
According to your profile, you have done most of the pivotal trials relied upon to license many of the vaccines, correct, on the market?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're highly experienced at conducting clinical trials, correct?
I'm highly experienced conducting clinical trials.
And you're familiar with many of the clinical trials that relied upon to license many of the vaccines currently on the market, correct?
I am.
In your opinion, did the clinical trials relied upon to license the vaccines that Yates received, many of which are still on the market today? Were they designed to rule out that the vaccine causes autism?
No. You've badgered me into answering the question the way you want me to, but I think that that's probably the answer.
Is that your accurate and truthful testimony?
Yes.
In the expert disclosures for this case, it asserts that, among other things, you will testify that, quote, the issue of whether vaccines cause autism has been thoroughly researched and rejected, end quote. It's your testimony that MMR vaccine cannot cause autism.
That's correct.
It's your testimony that Hep B vaccine cannot cause autism.
That's correct.
It's your testimony that IPOL cannot cause autism.
Yes.
It's your testimony that Hib vaccine cannot cause autism.
Yes.
It's your testimony that varicella vaccine cannot cause autism.
Yes.
It's your testimony that Prevnar vaccine cannot cause autism.
Yes.
And it's your testimony that DTaP vaccine cannot cause autism.
Yes.
And do you have a study that supports that DTaP doesn't cause autism?
I do not have a study that DTaP causes autism. So I don't have either.
Do you have any study one way or another of whether IPOL causes autism?
No, I do not, sir.
Do you have any study one way or another of whether NGRX B causes autism?
I do not have any evidence that it causes autism, nor that it does not.
And what about Hib titers vaccine? Any evidence one way or another of whether it causes autism?
No.
And what about Prevnar vaccine? Any evidence one way or another?
No, sir. No, sir.
And how about varicella vaccine? Let me just finish. Are there any studies one way or another that support whether it does or doesn't cause autism?
Part of MMR, but not as varicella by itself. No, sir. No studies that say it does, or no studies that say it doesn't.
There have been studies that have found an association between hepatitis B vaccine and autism, correct?
Not studies that I feel are credible.
Okay. Which study are you referring to when you say that?
Well, why don't you show me the study, and then I'll see whether I agree with it.
You gotta laugh. You just gotta laugh at that. I mean, what a joke. Now, it was also been said in quiet circles and in non-quiet circles. There's a few clips where you can see people talking about this, that one of the main reasons why they say things like this is they want people to take vaccines. They don't want to discuss all of the issues with vaccines because they want people to take vaccines. Now, for many of these people, that's coming from an honest perspective. They are actually saying that because they honestly believe that vaccines are the panacea for all that ails us and will save everybody. And therefore, they don't want to jeopardize the vaccine system. And so they say vaccines do not cause autism. And they say it like a blanket statement because they don't want you to freak the hell out and not take any more vaccines. But what's happening is that they've lied for so long, and yes, lied, that is the proper word to use, that they've now sown a level of distrust that they're never going to get back, ever. And the ball is rolling. So Secretary Kennedy and the CDC putting a change to that on their website, saying that this is not a statement that is proven, okay? Taking that conclusive statement of vaccines do not cause autism, taking that away and making it more clear that we really don't have enough information to say one way or the other, that is the correct way to do it. And that is opening the door for what's to come. And what's going to come in this next year, mark my words on it, is going to be more conclusive research to actually show the links with autism. And there will be a link with the vaccines, with autism. I can guarantee that. Guarantee that. And it's not going to be that vaccines cause autism, but that vaccines are part of the reason, part of the cascade of reasons, part of a bunch of reasons that lead to autism. That it's one of the things that influences whether or not a child gets autism. So you can say cause, or you can say influence, or you can say cascade, but it's there. It's part of the picture for that. And we're going to see that happen in this next year, I do believe. All right, we're coming to an end here, folks. We got a couple more things to talk about. Kennedy's not done yet. Then in December, Kennedy announced the changing, and he had alluded to this earlier in 2025, of the changing of the food pyramid. Is this a big deal? It is and it isn't. It is in one sense because there are a lot of agencies, a lot of companies, agencies that use the food pyramid to determine how they structure their recommendations, how they set up their food, et cetera. The SNAP program, that's actually based on the food pyramid, I think. And so school lunches, right, things like that. And so instead of having fat as the tiny little piece of the top of the pyramid, we're changing that now, because we know that the lie that's been told to us for decades regarding the dangers of fats and the benefits of carbohydrates has been a lie. It's been erroneous. It's been a calculated, measured, strategic lie. And so we are changing that, and he is changing that. And so changing the food pyramid may seem like a small thing. Oh, who really pays attention to the food pyramid? I just eat what I eat. It has this permeation on our society, on the way things are set up and the way things are determined, and the rules and the instructions of how things are developed for diet. And so that food pyramid is an important piece of the puzzle as a foundational element. And so changing that is something that needs to happen. And as head of HHS, he understands that. Lastly, and I'm saying lastly, and I may have missed things. There may be a couple of things, a few things in here that I may have missed. But I am at least hitting some of the strongest points. Also in December, Kennedy discussed putting a black box labeling on the COVID vaccines. Once again, not a little thing. Black box labeling is the first step towards getting rid of a product many, many times. Put the black box labeling on the product first to tell everyone that, hey, we really do not think you should take this. There's a lot of dangers involved in it. Next step can be getting rid of it from the marketplace. Now, at the same time that this came out that he was doing this, I then saw Dr. McCary on some kind of a program saying that, we're not sure if we're really going to do that or not. Kind of took a step back. He kind of backed away from it. So I don't know what's happening with that. That was the last thing I saw of it, was Kennedy saying yes, and then McCary saying, maybe, maybe not. So we'll see what happens with that. But once again, it's that step in the right direction. So like I said, I may have missed some things in here, but even with missing some of the pieces here, look at what Kennedy's done over the course of a year. He has moved the needle in the direction that we need it to go in significant ways. He has moved the needle towards making America healthy again in significant ways. And we all knew that this was going to be a tough battle. We all knew that this was going to be something that was going to be hard fought to get to where we need to go. Folks, this battle's not over. It's not even remotely over. It has just begun. But in the first year of this battle, Secretary Kennedy has done an amazing job. He has fought and he has won numerous times, over and over and over and over again. I don't think he's lost anything. He's got, his enemies are right there in the forefront now. You can see who they are. You've got Elizabeth Warren. You've got people like her that are just incensed and crazy with the way that they're responding. Okay. And the stuff he's doing is making America healthy again. It is. It's bringing back actual science, not bought and paid for opinions, but actual science. Have some patience, folks. Know that more is coming because Kennedy's already shown that more is coming. Every step is strategic. Every step happens as a step forward for this purpose, for this mission, for this direction that he's already made clear that what he wants. We're heading in those directions. He's got 4 years, folks. Hopefully he's got more than that. Hopefully he's got more than that, but he's got 4 years and we've only used one of those. And that first one was used very strategically to get people out of positions of power, to put people into positions of power that can help move the needle in the direction that he wants as well. He's got the CDC director he wants. He's got the FDA director he wants. He's got the NIH director he wants. He's got the people supporting him at HHS that he wants. He's got a president that supports him fully. Okay. You can say everything you want about Trump. I probably wouldn't argue with a lot of it, but he has been very supportive of everything that Bobby Kennedy is doing. And for that, God bless him, because the mission that Kennedy is on is so important. When I voted in this last election, I voted for Kennedy. That's what I voted for. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I voted for Kennedy. I wanted Kennedy in a position where he could do the good that I knew he could. And he's there and he's doing it. So Maha in review, glorious review, excellent review. Have we come close to doing all the things that we need to do? No, we're still a long ways away. Okay. But are we moving in the direction that we should be moving in? And are we making strides? Yes. 100%. Absolutely. Okay. So report card for Secretary Kennedy. I keep wanting to say president. Sorry. For Secretary Kennedy, report card, an A. A plus? No, but an A. I'll give him an A. Okay. I think he's doing an excellent job. I think he is being strategic. I think he's being very smart about the way he's doing things. I think he's moving us in the direction that needs to go. And I am excited to see what's going to happen. This next year is going to be bigger and bolder than this first year. This first year was the prep. This was our prep phase. Okay. This was our prep phase. For all you Pampa people, you know the prep phase. Okay. This is our prep phase. Okay. This was prepping us for the year to come. This next year, 2026, is going to blow things out of the water. Okay. I think you need to buckle yourself in because it's going to be a wild ride. Because here's the thing, and everybody should know this part. All of the demons are coming out of their woodwork. All of the people who want to stop Secretary Kennedy, who want to keep him from doing the things that he's doing. If you think about all the things he's doing and you look at that, seriously, look at that. I don't care if you're a liberal. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or a conservative or a moderate or whatever, a libertarian. I don't care what your political leanings are. Look at the things he's doing or has done from an objective point of view, just to look at it. Okay. Food dyes. Who can argue about that? Really, seriously. Okay. The fluoride in the children's products. Who could really argue that? The changes in the SNAP program, the changes in the food pyramid. The only thing that you're going to get people to really start to argue on is going to end up being the vaccines. And folks, have some patience and then trust that there's information coming out to back up everything that's happening. People in my position, people in the Maha movement have been aware of the issues in the vaccine system for a long, long time. We've seen the lies, we've seen the deceptions, and we've seen the problems. And we've also seen the research that backs up our opinion. And there's mountains of it out there. It's not a matter of, this one paper, and we're basing everything off of that. No, we're talking about the mountains of research that is denied by the other side, by the pro-vaxxers. That they will either say that every shred of that is bad evidence and that theirs is the only good evidence, okay? Or they'll say it just doesn't exist and they won't acknowledge it. But the problem is here for them. It's here. It is real. Kennedy knows that it's real. Okay. He's read all of it. He's absorbed all of it, and he knows what to do. Trust that he is headed in the right direction. Look at the quality of what he's done already in his first year. And man, hang on to your hats, folks. 2026 is going to be a wild ride. Okay. Mr. Toad's wild ride. This is going to be a wild ride. 2026. I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing. So, from a personal level, my own life, I'm looking forward to 2026. In this department, that's just another layer. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Secretary Kennedy is going to accomplish in this next year. Now, he's going to have a lot of people going against him, a lot of people, and he's going to have a lot of power and money coming against him. There's going to be lies. There's going to be slander. There's going to be scandal. They're going to try to impeach him, get him out of his position. Pay attention to that. And for everyone out there who supports him, for everyone out there who's on the fence about it, but thinks that a lot of things he's doing or everything he's doing is, making some good changes, you need to speak up in support of Secretary Kennedy. You need to put yourself out there and support what he's doing vocally. Those people who are the newbies who keep wanting to criticize what he's doing and talk about how slow it is and how he's not getting things done and he's ineffective and he's lying to us, you need to shut the hell up. You shut the hell up or get on board. Either get on board or show your true colors and get onto the other side and just stop pretending like you're part of Maha and you're part of this whole movement. Kennedy is the only person, he's the only person I can even fathom that would have been able to get the things he's got accomplished in this year that he has. And so, bravo for you, Secretary Kennedy. God bless you. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for everything you've done for us in this past year. My thoughts, my energy, my support are there for you. And I support you all the way, 100%. And so keep doing what you're doing. Keep fighting the good fight. I will always be there helping support you in whatever way I can. And my message to everyone out there is we need your help too. Don't let it slip away. Don't let it slide. We need the momentum. Kennedy has given us that. He's given us the leadership. We just need to keep supporting him with our love, with our thoughts, with our energy and our actions. And so keep doing that. We are headed in the right direction, folks. Okay. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. All right. So we're going to wrap up here. I want you to know that our guest for the next podcast, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm not going to tell you who it is. You'll find out like a week before it's dropped. But I've got a great guest on the books to record a session with in the next coming weeks. And I'm very excited. And this person is going to be able to feed this fire that I just started here and give us a much, much more in-depth look at what's going on behind the scenes in Maha and more on vaccines and autism and more in general. So thank you so much for tuning in last year. It was a great year. I had a lot of fun filming everything in 2025. And I'm really looking forward to 2026. I've got a lot of ideas for guests to have on the show, and I'm hoping it's going to be as wonderful as my mind is making it out to be. And so once again, thank you. If you're not following me on Instagram, if you're not following me on X, if you're not following me on Facebook, then go to my website, drmichaelnichols.com. And there's a link tree there that has all that information on it. Follow along, follow me on Spotify, follow me on YouTube, share these videos with your friends if you've gotten a lot of good information out of them, and spread the wealth. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.